Hey everybody, good morning. Today I just wanted to go over some common questions that people might have um, before starting my program. All right, let's dive into this. So, here is the basic Fresh Start introductory body preparation plan. I know that's a long name, but basically, it's just this is the plan that I like people to go on to before they really try anything else, because there's not really a point if you can't get this stuff down. um, Anything else you do is going to have a lot less bang for your buck, right? So I'll go through it with you guys. We can do this together. um, so thank you for making the choice to begin this program. I promise that you won't regret this decision and actually might end up liking it. That's been the case with almost everybody. I'd say the few people that haven't liked it were basically people that didn't really do anything. Like they didn't follow the plan, and I'll talk about a lot more in detail uh, in a bit once we get over here. But yeah, everybody who even did any of it loved it. I mean, just like over 50% of it, they would have results. So um, let's just keep going here. So I created this program. Uh, I got tired of seeing patients failing to improve their health, combined with the fact that their providers were failing them as well. Yeah, it's really frustrating to work in hospitals and see people just get sicker and sicker and worse, and then everyone wants to be right. All the specialists want to be right. Nobody cares what internists say or GPs say because they're not a specialist. It's just like, I don't know, a lot of measuring that goes on that shouldn't necessarily go on, because you guys are the most important thing, right? Like, why are doctors fighting over something when in reality it's just like, how can we give this patient the best care? Part of the reason why I hated it. Hate it a little less now. I don't know if I can say I don't hate medicine still. Okay, so our bodies are amazingly well designed machines. As much as we do our best to throw them off, which I mean is pretty obvious. We're terrible to ourselves for the most part. The first question I want you to think about is, how long have you been going in the wrong direction? The reason why I ask that question is because everyone wants to fix everything so fast. We're all instant gratification. And if you think about how many years and decades for some people that it took you to get where you are, um, well, that might be a good, I don't want to say it's going to take 20 years to undo all the damage that you've done. But if you've been overweight for 30 years, it's not unreasonable to think it might take a couple of years. It might even take a year just to get yourself in the right routine to be losing weight and making positive changes. Just stopping yourself from getting more unhealthy is a huge step. Like, you have to stop gaining weight, you have to stop getting less healthy before you can actually start making improvements. So people want to, get discouraged when they're not losing weight. It's like, but you're not gaining weight. That's just as big of a deal. It's literally just as big of a deal. Okay, well, we'll talk more about that. Let's see. Tired of social media putting the unrealistic images into our heads. Let's see right here. The majority of people you see on television or in any advertisement are on special supplements. Let's just clear the air and room here and just say anabolic steroids. And not even doing the workout that's being sold. That's so common. You'll have all these people who are like IFBB pros, which just means they won a professional bodybuilding tournament, and they get to say it for the rest of their life that they're a professional bodybuilder. Those people are insane. So much. They're just so regimented. Like, I know it's kind of basically on the other extreme of an eating disorder, but people who are professional bodybuilders have the ultimate control over their body. Granted, it's kind of like another extreme, versus somebody who's gigantically obese. You have bodybuilders on this other side. Neither of them are healthy at all. Bodybuilders are some of the most unhealthy people you'll ever meet in your life. The only thing keeping their body together is like like legitimately a handful of anti aromatase enzymes, liver enzyme. Like, I mean, They have so many multivitamins. It's unbelievable how much stuff that they take every single day. And if they don't, by the time they're like 45, they look like they're 1,000. So yeah, and I just want to maybe harp on that a little bit more. Whenever you start setting your goals based on the like Arnold Schwarzenegger used to look up to people, right? One of the most, pretty much the best bodybuilder of all time had somebody he looked up to at one point, and he became the best bodybuilder of all time. We're not all like that, you know. We don't all see like Jason Momoa or somebody like that, and we achieve that body. Arnold realized he needs steroids to do that, so that's what he did, you know. So whenever you're trying to visualize who you want to be and where you want to be progress wise, it's a really good idea to step back and maybe even talk to somebody else about it in your life. Be like, hey, you think that's realistic? And if they say no, say, hey, you know what, screw you, I'm gonna show you. Maybe, right? But there's so many people in the spotlight these days that are all on steroids. They all are. And even women, they're on less like androgenic steroids. Um, what would be the Anavar would be like a big one that they like to take, and there's one other one that I can't really think of right now. They take SARMs a lot too, selective androgen receptor modulators, because they don't really mess with their periods too much, and super common. It's like every single person you could ever imagine or you ever seen on television is taking some type of supplement that you are not taking. Mostly illegal. Granted, SARMs aren't necessarily illegal. So let's see here. Um, yeah, I'll give it to you straight and concisely. I can only do that in writing because verbally I can't do that very well. So let's see here how it works. So you're going to read the list, obviously. Hopefully you can implement as many of these into your life as you can early on, but as you keep moving forward, you're going to be putting more and more and more of them into your life. Um, One thing I talk about a lot is external motivation or support, because initially, sometimes you have a lot more internal and sometimes you have a lot more external. But whatever gets you going, after a few weeks, you'll start to have a lot more internal motivation. And that could even be based on the external motivation of you looking and feeling better and people noticing it. Read the longer explanations. Nobody ever does that, but they answer a lot of questions. You're 100% allowed to do more in regards to physical activity. I don't really even touch on physical activity. I have a very good idea of how I would like that to go. I do it with people that pay for my programs, but in regards to just giving you a free program, I feel like this is good enough. You know, your body will be ready to start almost any activity or program other than maybe CrossFit, which is it's CrossFit. I don't know. If you want my opinion on it, doing extremely frequent plyometric, explosive, max effort lifts without necessarily having the proper training is the perfect environment to become an orthopedic surgeon's best friend. Let's see here. For basic and premium members, yeah, I'll check in with you guys. And until I fill up all the way, I'll be in direct contact via text, message, Gmail, or email. You know, so all these people that are on the fence right now, for those of you guys signing up right now, I'm giving you a lot more of my time than you know. My client list is going to be about 75 to 100 people. Will be my maxed out list, and I'm not there right now, so I can talk to people as much as they want, and I'm not charging them anymore. So let's see. I'll be including some of your questions concerning my weekly live stream. I only had a few for this one, and my mobile live stream worked when I tested it, but now it didn't work this morning, so that was 30 minutes of my life that are just gone. So let's see here. Just want to double check something. All right, we're fine. So the list: sleep a minimum of 7 hours per night and have a mandatory bedtime. The most important thing here is having a rough outline of a mandatory bedtime and setting a goal for yourself to sleep every night. It's not sleeping 7 hours a night is super important. It is, obviously, you know that, but for what we're trying to accomplish here, and it's not that, you know, oh, it's 9 o'clock, I gotta be asleep now. No, it's just getting in the habit of doing things at a certain time, having a routine. You know, we train our animals with routines, but we almost ignore us to ever have them. Like, kids need routines. That's why the most successful kids, either had really great parents who did everything all the time, or they had parents who did nothing, and the kids established their own routine. When you have parents that like they come in on Monday and they're maybe like real strict, and then on like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they hate the week, so the kids kind of get to do whatever they want, and then later on, that like so inconsistent parenting is how you make the worst kids. Either having no parenting or a lot of parenting is how you make the best kids. It's really funny. Then people in my family are like, "How do you know this? You don't have kids." And I'm like, "I'm just a doctor, everybody. Just a doctor. I get to watch everybody else's kids, right?" Um, Next one up, drinking 1 part water to 1 part everything else. It's really annoying to read all the recommendations for how many ounces of water that you should drink every single day, and you feel like everybody's just judging you. When in reality, here's the trick. Here's a trick. Because we statistically drink enough fluid. We drink enough fluid to reach the recommended amount of fluids to drink every single day. However, we don't always drink water. Sometimes we drink coffee. Sometimes we put whiskey in our coffee. Sometimes we put coffee in our whiskey. Doesn't really matter. It's too early for that right now. But what I'm saying is, if you take this, fill it up with water, and then just chug it, who cares? You might have to go pee more. If you don't want to chug it, sip it, whatever. If you just fill up anything that you're drinking that's not water with water, or something of the same or close to its size with water, and drink it, you will 100% meet all of your recommendations of drinking water for the day. You don't have to count. You don't have to do anything. You can actually maybe rely on yourself a little bit. I'm all about self-regulation, with routines and alarm clocks and stuff, because the less we have to think about, the better. However, like sometimes you just got to use stuff to your advantage. And eating more real food. So anything that's a plant or an animal. Basically, removing processed foods, removing flour, wheat. Oh, just get it out of your life for a little while. Okay? Like, I'm not saying you're never going to be able to have potato chips and all this stuff ever. That's ridiculous. But if you're in a state that you want to improve your health, you want to get better, right? Um, you need to remove the things that got you there in the first place, which would probably be not having a very good sleeping schedule, maybe not restful sleep, probably not drinking enough water, and you're probably not eating enough real food. You might be having a ton of fruit, maybe you're processing or like juicing your fruit, or um, like a lot of people just think they can just eat fruit all day long, all day, every day. It's like they don't realize that it is a lot of sugar. It's not necessarily as calorically dense as other processed foods like Twinkies and stuff like that, but I don't even think people really even eat Twinkies anymore. Just a fun reference. Maybe eventually people will just be like, "What are Twinkies?" Um, so here you go. Here's a good way to think about it. Anything that's green or used to have a face on it, right? Stick to eating animals and plants. Plants would be vegetables and fruit. If you want to get more specific, we totally can by eliminating certain starches, depending upon your beliefs of anti-nutrients like phytates, lectins, and oxalates. Those are in vegetables to basically keep them from being digested enough, so that way whenever an animal would eat it, they'd poop it out and the seeds would be there. There's a lot of research that's out that shows that people can be just as sensitive to those as gluten or lactose. So you have all these chronically inflamed people with leaky gut, which is just now becoming a thing that's recognized, right? And they have actually sensitivities to these anti-nutrients. So if you really want to be safe, you can look up the anti-nutrients and find vegetables that are low in them, like broccoli is really low. You can just, I mean, it depends on how boring you want to be, but it's a pet peeve of mine, right? Whenever you eliminate things from people's diets, it's like there's no creativity that comes into that, right? So if you have a kid, right, really, really young kid, full of energy, and you take away his phone, and you give him some blocks, some Legos, you give him something, they will blow your mind with how many games they can come up with, names they can come up with, scenarios or scenarios if you're a jerk, like all kinds of stuff, right? But as adults, I say, hey, look, I'm going to cut you down. You're going to have red meat because it's statistically proven to be the most anabolic. And so regardless of how you feel about red meat is the most efficient protein inside of you. There may be some drawbacks in that, but that's just a point I want to get across. If you're trying to have any anabolic effects inside of your body, red meat is statistically better. But let's say you want to have fish, chicken, whatever, right? Cool. And then you eliminate chips, Cheetos, Doritos. As adults, we're just like, man, my diet sucks. It's so boring. Sorry, I had a little tangent there. Um, but what I want you to think about is how can you be creative with that? You know, there's like 1,000 different, probably more than that, ways to have those meats and to have those vegetables, not just broccoli. There's way more than broccoli. But it's like it's almost like we're looking for excuses to quit and maybe to fail. And a lot of times I've noticed that whenever you tell people to eat more real food, you know, anything that was a plant or an animal, they're like, I just don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. And I'm like, man, you are an adult and you have made it this far in your life. I have a very, very strong feeling that you can actually do that. And they're like, well, what am I paying you for? And it's like, well, first off, you're paying me for a little bit of accountability. Second of all, maybe you're paying me just to like make you think because nobody makes you think because nobody ever cares about anybody else these days, especially not your doctor. You know, what do you pay your doctor for? All he does is keep showing blood pressure medications and insulin up you or in you. So it's like he's not really keeping you living. He might be keeping you alive, but you're not living. That's for sure. Feel like crap every day. It's like maybe pay somebody like me who's actually going to make you wake up every day and feel better. Okay, so number 4, no breakfast. That one makes a lot of people upset. There is a lot of reasons why I choose to do this one. Primarily, it's because I want to extend your fast in the morning, and the best way to make people who never fast is by piggybacking breakfast or piggybacking sleep, because sleep is 7 to 10 hours of fasting, right? Some people don't eat necessarily right before they go to bed, so add those hours onto it. All that's really going to do is reduce your it's going to reduce your blood sugar to a point to where your insulin will eventually drop, and your blood sugar might bottom out a little bit depending upon how horrible your insulin resistance is and everything. But for the vast majority of people, by just increasing your fasting a little bit and maybe not, I don't know, waking up and going into a full sprint or something like that, your ketogenesis is going to keep up. Your body's going to be able to maintain an actual level blood sugar while you're doing nothing. Um, but so what you're doing by skipping breakfast, first, you're getting away from food. You're working on your relationship with food and the psychological aspects of having food in your life, in your mouth, in your stomach all day long, which is not how we're really designed to be. We're designed to be able to have food and fast, feast and famine, whatever you want to call it. Or I don't know. However, people want to look at all that. When we have food all the time, if our body was made to just always have food all the time, it would be a lot better at not storing everything. We're not that efficient as far as, nutrient storage and stuff like that when you get into percentages. But in reality, like I don't know. Let's not get caught there. All I'm saying is there's a lot of psychological aspects of not having breakfast for a while to teach yourself about your relationship with food, teach yourself about your body, what hunger really is, because nobody really knows what hunger is unless except for like 2/3 of the world, but most people that I'll talk to have no idea. Um, and yeah, you get to experiment with fasting a little bit. Fasting's one of the most amazing things you can do. It's really hard to overeat when you're fasting. And if you don't want to be Mr. Perfect and just, cut out all the food in your life that you love, increase your fast. Fasting is different than starving. Fasting there's a lot of different things that are going on inside of you when you're having nothing than whenever you have very small amounts of calories, because you're not just primarily in ketosis, right? You're not just primarily relying on fat. When you throw in sugar intermittently in small amounts and just random macronutrients, it can have a totally different effect than if you just fast. So that's another reason why hormonally it's super important. If you're pre-diabetic, you should be fasting. You should be using resistance training. You should be going into the sauna, and you should just be becoming a little bit more aware. Um, because once you go from pre-diabetic to diabetic, in reality, it's not that big of a deal. It's just a few different numbers, but it's a mindset thing that a lot of people have whenever they become a diabetic. It's almost like they lost a battle, when in reality, they're still in the fight. All right, next up, wake up, have a glass of water. I like to wake up and have a glass of water, and then by the time I get downstairs and let the dog out to go pee, I make coffee. But promise you this: if you have a glass of water the second you wake up, or after your morning pee, whatever you want, it'll change your life. After a week or two, you will feel so much better, especially because so many of us are dehydrated. I haven't really seen any US studies on it, but there's some studies in the UK that show up to 90% of people have some subclinical levels of dehydration. But then you want to get into what's dehydration and how do they measure that, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. Most people are dehydrated. If you start doing number two, though, probably not as much. So, zero snacking. This is the hardest one for almost everyone. A lot of people can get away with like putting breakfast aside. You can have water in the morning. Oh, yeah, 5 to 10 minutes stretching. I'll talk about that one in a second. But zero snacking. That one is super hard for people, and it's again a twofold, maybe three or fourfold type of deal. You are improving your relationship with food. You're becoming more aware. Every time you want a snack and you don't have it, you're just like, maybe you can think, and this is the way I tell my clients to do, my people that I help. Like, okay, you just thought about having food again. Why did you want food right there? Were you bored? Are you really hungry? You're trying to lose weight. And as grim as this sounds, you have a ton of calories sitting right there that your body will 100% use when it needs it. So the fact that you're hungry is probably not necessarily for the same reasons that you think it's hungry for, and that there is such a ceremonial and habitual aspect of eating that we always just forget. I'm hungry. I had a bad day. I want this. Why? Why don't we say, I had a horrible day. I'm just going to go for a walk. I had a horrible day. I'm going to go to the gym. I had a horrible day. I want to watch a comedy. I had a horrible day. I'm going to read. I'm going to do something productive. It's like, no, we don't do that. We reach for comfort things. It's because, we idolize food. What do we have for birthday? Was it the presents or was it the cake? What about Thanksgiving? Oh, the turkey, the ham. Nowadays, everyone wants to make you feel bad about celebrating it by like talking about history and stuff. But it's like traditionally, every holiday, people think about food or gifts and all these different things, right? But and the only reason I bring up holidays is just to show how much we revolve our lives around food. Halloween, candy. Christmas, for me anyway, Christmas is not even necessarily presents. It used to be these cookies that my aunt would make that were so good. The most amazing chocolate chip cookies you'll ever have in your life. And I don't even eat chocolate chip cookies because everything else other than those is just nothing. That's to me what the most amazing part about Christmas was. Was those cookies. She's not around anymore. So rest her soul, rest in peace. Man, those cookies. And then Thanksgiving, turkey, mashed potatoes, especially with the skin in it. Ah, the people that don't have them in there. But here we go. Let's rewind back to being productive. If you just remove your snacks and you have meals, we're skipping breakfast, so now you're going to eat twice a day. And there is a physiological principle or term known as receptive relaxation. That's what your stomach does. That's how people in eating competitions can eat a ton of food. So out the gate, you might not be able to eat as much each meal, but eventually, if you're just eating 2 meals a day without snacking, your stomach will expand and you'll be able to have enough calories. Before you get to the point to where you can eat enough in one meal, stick to having primarily protein and fat because those are the most satiating or full effect. They make you feel full. Carbs don't make you feel full at all. That's why you go to Chinese food. They might eat, and you can eat just an astronomical amount of it, and then there's so much salt in it that you just chug water, and most people don't drink water. That's why we're talking about it. You drink something else. It's like everyone's working against you guys. But so anyway, that's just to go over the list, kind of quick. Um, and then here is where I go into these a little bit more, kind of saying a lot of stuff I said. Maybe there's some different things in there too. I like to go in there and tinker with that a little bit. And then additional information. Oh, it worked. Okay, so here we go. Consume 100 grams of protein a day. Even if you do not reach your goal, you will be drastically increasing your protein intake. Yeah, some of you guys maybe not. Some of you guys definitely. Most people that reach a point in their life where they want to make a difference and lose weight aren't 25 years old. A lot of them are 40, 50, 60, and they usually are way more determined and able to do so than younger people, just my opinion. But we always associate having a lot of food and protein with being a growing boy or girl, right? And every single thing in your life is less efficient now that you're older, like body wise, physiologically, right? It's just part of aging. And I don't know, it could be the telomeres or however you want to get into what aging really is, but everything gets less efficient, including our gut. So if everything gets less efficient, including our gut, why would we not think adults need to have more protein? Protein is the most important macronutrient. You you die without it, right? You need a few fats, but I don't know. Let's not get into like which macro is most important. It's definitely not sugar. I'll say that. There's no essential sugar. But if you increase your protein, you got to think, where is my body going to get amino acids from? Primarily from your muscles. If you're not having it from your diet, muscles are what make you feel good. If you have a lot of strong muscles, you can move better. That's why, like most joint remedies, like anytime you have some type of rheumatological condition, just exercise and increasing strength will drastically improve your overall daily health. Back pain, doing deadlifts can alleviate back pain if you do them right. It's crazy. So I tell everybody try to have 100 grams protein a day. That's not the bodybuilder 1 to 1, or some people, I think it's like 1 gram for every 1.3 kilograms or something like. I can't remember what the most recent recommendation is. Just have 100 grams a day. Meet that. And if that seems crazy to you, cool, because by the time you hit that, it's like all the other macros line up. When you try to have 100 grams of protein a day, you end up eating more red meat or meat in general. And then, when you go into that, it's like people have more vegetables, they have more fruits. The things that go with meat, whenever you're saying don't have burgers, or if you have burgers, have like a lettuce bun or something, or a bell pepper bun, like the diets kind of line up a lot better. I'm only having 2 meals a day. I gotta have 100 grams of protein. Holy crap. That's what everybody says when they start. And then by the end of it, they love it. They love it. So, okay, eliminate fructose from your diet. Yeah, fructose is pointless. You don't need fructose. That's a total waste of life. Um, High fructose corn syrup is one of the most destructive compounds, chemicals on the planet as far as our health is concerned. And part of that has to do with the fact that a byproduct of fructose metabolism is um, it ends up being uric acid. I can't remember if it's like urea or what state it's in whenever it. But what happens is uric acid is important for gout, and then it also has an effect on your fat cells where it I hate using things like this, but turns them onto like hyperdrive. It really makes them more efficient and able to store more and store more rapidly. That'd be a better way of saying it without using some type of, biohack term. All right, so take 5 to 10 minutes every single morning and do something you enjoy. That is huge. That's huge. Oh, sorry, I hurt my neck a few nights ago, and I'm working on fixing it. 5 to 10 minutes every single morning, doing something that you enjoy for you. Pray, meditate, read. Doesn't matter. Just the simple act of taking time for yourself is where most of the benefits of taking time for yourself come from. It doesn't really matter what you do. So I mean, you can just add that's 20 minutes a day, maybe. I think everybody could do with 20 minutes less sleep if they spent 20 minutes a day on themselves doing something. Um, And I might do a whole live stream on that actually. That'd be really fun to I love talking about the psychological aspects of this. So in regards to physical activity, I encourage resistance training. Resistance training, basically moving against resistance, is without a doubt the most beneficial and effective form of exercise to promote the most amount of positive adaptations in your body. Once you get into okay, well, I go to the gym a few times a week. Then there's yoga. There's lots of different types of yoga. Yoga is amazing because it's really a lot more about working on your awareness in space and connecting with your body. And technically, that's what resistance training should be. But a lot of us get on machines and don't really do free weights because we were told in junior high or high school that they're bad for your back or something stupid like that. So when you get into actually doing resistance training with free weights, barbells, dumbbells, not just always sitting on machines that control the entire range of motion for you have a lot of that proprioception or awareness in space and time that comes with yoga. And you can also work on your mind muscle connection, your body connection. A lot of the things that you get from yoga, I don't know. You sit in Warrior 3 for like 10 minutes long and you're gonna feel your quads, but if you actually can perform a fairly decent squat, front squat, high bar squat, any type of squat, really, you'll also feel your quads. I don't mean to take away from yoga. Yoga is awesome. I know I have people that maybe watch this that do yoga, so it'll be a lot of fun to chirp at them a little bit. Um, but yeah, honestly, anything. Just the act of pushing your muscles against gravity or resistance is where um, a lot of the insulin like or improved insulin sensitivity like effects come from. A lot of the blood sugar, bringing blood sugar down, because your muscles control your blood sugar just a lot. Let's just say your muscles are very important in regards to your insulin sensitivity and your blood sugar, basal blood sugar levels, and their regulation. Yes, let's just say that. That will be a safe statement to say that doesn't hurt anybody's feelings. All right. So every week or two, see how long you can extend your fast. I personally enjoy one 24-hour fast per week. Yes, that is very true. And when you skip breakfast, if you get caught up in your day, that's usually whenever I realize, it's like 7 or 8 p.m., I'm like, hey, I didn't eat today. And some people tell me, they're like, dude, no way, I couldn't do that. I could not do that. I would be dying. And every single person who's ever done my program that even did any of it right, that did any of it right at all of them love doing 24-hour fasts. Some of them people do longer fasts than that, which is super cool. I don't know. 72 hours is usually where I would draw the line. But like, gosh, the amount of stuff you learn about your body and yourself whenever you do that, it's astronomical. So I know we kind of went over the program a little bit, and here's the list. Um, I guess I can talk about some common. I know I've talked about a few things that people mess up or have issues with, but sleeping 7 hours a night is a big one. A lot of people don't even know how to sleep 7 hours a night. They sometimes work different schedules or infrequent or frequently have shift changes and stuff like that. And all I can say to that is have a mandatory bedtime or time you go to sleep, depending upon which type of day it is. So if you work some days and you don't work some days, like most people who only work, 4 or 5 days a week, some people 6 or 7 days a week, um, try to have a same schedule for each of those days. And the more you can regulate or regiment yourself to have similarities in your days, the better your body's going to be at responding to it, the less likely it's going to complain, and the more likely you're going to be able to go on autopilot whenever you don't really feel like doing anything, and you'll still get through it. So I've had a lot of people say, man, I can't do that. And then you start going into sleep hygiene, which is super big to talk about with blue light blocking. You can set the screen on your phone to warm, your computer monitor to warm, your TV to warm. You can change all of these things, and it only takes a few minutes, and you're reducing the blue light that you experience drastically after the sun goes down. Huge, huge, huge. You can go buy blue light blockers at like a gas station or on Amazon for like $1. They might not look cool, but they'll totally change your sleep. And then as far as sleep, you can work on using pillows to brace yourself, putting one behind you, one in front of you. I know pillows can be like $1 or $2 if you just buy cheap ones for this purpose instead of just, spending. You can make this as cheap or expensive as you want. Focusing on having a neutral spine. I don't necessarily know if you need a weighted blanket, but there's so many different ways to approach your sleep, but everybody should be able to have restful sleep. The mandatory bedtime, I like that. It's more of like a mandatory, it's time to start getting ready for bed. Um, Drinking one part water to one part everything else. I haven't really had a lot of people have problems with that. They either just do it or they don't do it, and they lie about it. But the people that do it have always said, I feel so much better. It's never been easier to drink this much water. It's always been about counting. Am I at my 10th bottle of water, my ninth? I don't know. No, just drink one part water, one part everything else. Problem solved. Life easy. The number three, I do get so many questions on that. like, is a fried chicken tender real food? And I like to say, okay, whenever you see a piece of chicken, you're not going to be walking around in nature and see some grilled chicken sitting there. That's just not the case, right? However, bread, crumbs, breading, it's like everything. We found so many ways to work flour and wheat into our lives, and we wonder why over 70% of our population is overweight and like 40+% or so is like obese. Correlation does not equal causation, but dang it, if you removed simple processed and hyper processed and hyper palatable foods with just cut out all wheat from our lives and sugar and fructose, like it's impossible. We'd probably have some type of supplement or variation that would destroy us, but I don't know. Anybody who removes simple sugars from their lives, especially anything that's deep fried, which I love fried food, but I'm also not trying to lose weight. Um, if you remove simple sugars, fructose, and if you just do this list, you'll lose all the weight you want to lose, and you won't need me. But that's accountability is probably a big reason why my plan works, is because I kind of like to hold people accountable. Drinking a glass of water when they wake up, no one's really had problems with that. I've checked in with all of them, usually daily the first week, and some of them do it, some of them don't. It's silly to me that having a glass of water is impossible to do in the morning, but we can. I don't know. It's like, yeah, you're like, man, do I want to add one more thing to my morning routine? It's like, you're adding something super beneficial to your morning routine. Have a glass and set it by your sink, and then just fill it up and drink it. I don't know. Anytime you go pee, drink a glass of water. Problem solved. Do that too. Um, the 5 to 10 minute stretching, that one I get a lot of questions on, but I kind of like having a lot of questions on it. Like when people want to know what am I supposed to do for 5 or 10 minutes, I almost just like to say, do something. And people fill it in with whatever they like. These people are obviously wanting to make a change in their lives. And if I just give them 5 or 10 minutes, taking time for themselves, if I say stretching, they're gonna be, oh man, I'm so tight. I'm so tight. But after a few days, they don't want to just do that. Sometimes they go for a walk. Or they'll be like, hey, is it okay if I go for a walk instead of stretch? I'm like, yeah, yeah. But they would never ask that question in the first place, right? Um, and another reason I mentioned that one is just to give people some body awareness. A lot of people know that they're sore, their back's sore, their knees hurt. But if I ask, is it the inside, the outside of your knee? Which part of your back? Where's the level? Is it cervical, thoracic, lumbar? Like they don't necessarily know. And so it just promotes being aware of your body more aware, and to start paying attention to yourself. Zero snacking, everyone is horrible at that pretty much. And I've had a couple people that aren't horrible at it, and in like 6 weeks they lost like 30+pounds. It's crazy. It doesn't matter if it's a healthy snack or not. Just getting your body to only have food or not have food is so. It's one of the most amazing things that you'll see happen and witness and listen to people talk about it. Like, we are so controlled by food. Like, everything is just a snack, but they're like, but what about almonds? And I'm like, yeah, almonds are pretty great. They're also one of the most calorically dense foods on the planet. Uh, you know, snack on celery or a pickle or something. Like something 0 calorie oriented, but it's usually something with carbs, something with flour, wheat, something super processed, super high glycemic index, or something super calorically dense, like a nut, because we all think for some reason that nuts are just like the most amazing snack food. And in reality, that stems from like outdoor activities when you need lightweight, dense food or something like that. And now it's somehow translated into our everyday lives. Like, why is an apple no longer a good snack? It's like 80 calories, and the glycemic index, yeah, it might be higher now than it used to be because of our GMO'd apples, but it's only 80 calories versus like, I don't know, a little parfait that's like 500 calories. Apple takes longer to eat. It's got more fiber in it, depending upon how you feel about fiber. Yeah, so snacking was a huge issue for most people and almost every person that ever starts my program. But I will say this, whenever they stop snacking, They feel amazing. Um, so yeah, okay. So this was just me going through the plan a little bit. Um, Maybe some common areas that people struggle with, giving you my opinion on the primary list. And granted, that list totally changes as we continue throughout the program. Um, these are like a baseline, but I like to make edits to these. And then we start incorporating these things into your life and a whole lot more depending upon what you actually need. So, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that. And if you did, feel free to donate here. And every bit of donating or donation, all the donations go to basically helping the channel, getting better equipment, software, um, hardware, and putting food on the table, putting the roof over the head, that kind of thing. And I also realized that not everybody can spend $60 to $100 a month. Um, so yeah, you still have like one more day to get my 25% off discount, which I don't think people realize how nice that would actually be. Because I locked it in for over a year, if you want to. But anyway, yeah, if you can't do 60 or 100 bucks a month and want to donate, awesome. And the more people that I get donating, um, no, I said that wrong. The more people I have signing up to this mailing list, I'll start including a lot of stuff in my mailing list. I have it all set up to where you sign up for it, but I need to get at least a handful of people that want to get an email every week for me to really start putting a lot of effort into it. Where I'll include what we talked about in this live stream, maybe what videos I did or articles I did that week, because I keep all that documented, and maybe some other stuff too. I don't know. So yeah. Anyway, enjoy my website. Enjoy your Saturday. Hope you guys have a great day. See you later.